Hey, how's it going YouTube? This is your boy Chosen, and today we are trying something very different. If you have seen my return video, I stated that I wanted to try anime discussions. Any topic that you guys or myself would believe to be an interesting topic to cover. Today I decided to cover a light topic, and that is discussing the 6-path differences between Naruto and Sasuke. I know a lot of people know this stuff already, but I felt like this video was a good idea to test the waters and, see how much you guys are digging these discussions. Okay? Okay. Enjoy the video. So before we start, anywhere, I should point out that I will be talking about the Boruto series in this video, because Naruto and Sasuke, to this day, still have 6-path abilities. And I know you might be wondering why I even had to bother mentioning that, and that's because some people still don't believe they have 6-path abilities, especially when it comes to Naruto. And I can understand why, but I'll dive deep into that later. So if you are planning to watch, or you're midway through Boruto right now and you don't want it being spoiled, then as of right now, until you do catch up, this may not be the video for you. Another thing to point out is that I won't only be talking about the obvious abilities like Chibaku Tensei or the 3-headed Kuruma avatar. Those I'm pretty sure everyone knows, but stuff like Sasuke's ability to directly see Madara's limbo clones, for example. Things that can't be activated on command, but only in specific situations. Sasuke does not have the ability to see other things in any different dimension, but when Madara uses limbo clones specifically, mainly because it's a Rinnegan technique, he is then given the ability to see him clear as day, and that is just one example. Now we can really start on the video, and to start, I think it's only right if I acknowledge you guys on what 6-path is, how it's achieved, all that juicy stuff. As of what we know right now, there are only 2 ways to achieve 6-path chakra. One way is to directly receive it from Hagoromo, which Naruto and Sasuke did, and granted them a whole new buff in their arsenal. The difference between Naruto and Sasuke before they received 6-path chakra and after is like night and day. Naruto was first in his 6-path state when he kicked Madara's Truth Seeker orb. That can only be touched by someone containing 6-path chakra. And you might be asking why I emphasize this part, and that is because people think that the cloak Naruto gets, when Sasuke appears with their badass poses and whatnot, is when he is in his 6-path state, which is not true. The cloak Naruto receives is literally the massive boost of KCM on top of his 6-path state, which gives the name 6-path Sage Mode. And as for Sasuke, he gained the 6-Tomoe Rinnegan, which basically allows him to perform his Mangekyo Sharingan abilities without having to deactivate the Rinnegan, which is also quite convenient and more helpful than people think. Well, depending on the enemy, of course. If the enemy Sasuke faces counters Amaterasu, then at that point it doesn't really matter if he has a 6-Tomoe Rinnegan or regular one. The second way to achieve 6-path chakra is to become the 10-tails Jinchuriki, as done by Madara and Obito, or Jubito as some like to call them. Just like Naruto and Sasuke, the difference between Madara and Obito before and after the transformation is night and day. Madara fighting the Shinobi Alliance was able to summon 2 massive boulders, as Jubi Madara was able to summon over 10 like it was nothing. The funny thing about Obito is that Kishimoto had to literally nerf him by not allowing Obito to use his Mangekyo Sharingan abilities in his Jubi state, cause let's be honest, the show would have ended right there. 6-path chakra has been shown to even buff up weaker jutsus of the users like Naruto applying East Chelby's chakra to a Rasen Shuriken, or Sasuke buffing up his Chidori to an Onyx Chidori. So imagine the buff Obito could have gotten if Kishimoto found a way that allowed Obito to keep his Mangekyo Sharingan abilities in that state. Now, despite all this, it is not at all easy to access 6-path chakra given the only 2 ways to receive them. So it is very rare for a user to undergo these transformations and buffs, as only Naruto, Sasuke, Madara, and Obito were the only regular ninjas in the anime to achieve such high level buffs. Now, every user of 6-path chakra, whether it be Naruto with his 6-path Sage Mode or Sasuke with his Rinnegan, have access to the same specific abilities. Basic things like increased power and speed, as shown with Naruto dodging Madara's Light Fang attack, for example. But unlike Sasuke, Naruto is able to use Senjutsu techniques due to him having nature energy within. With Sage Mode, Naruto is able to further enhance his physical capabilities, but with 6-path Sage Mode, it's just on a different level. An example is when Naruto stated that he couldn't see what was around Madara, but could sense it. That being a clone from another dimension, not accessible from their world. Madara, after receiving not only the Jubi transformation, but Hashirama's Sage Chakra, was able to tank a hit from Night Guy and recover his body as if nothing happened. So yeah, Sage Chakra or nature energy is no joke, especially when you stack it with 6-path chakra. The best way I like to look at Naruto and Sasuke's 6-path differences is Naruto receiving Hagoromo's body and Sasuke receiving the eyes. The Rinnegan, whether it's the normal state, the 6-Tomoe, or the Rinne Sharingan, at the end of the day, it's still the Rinnegan. It is the most overpowered eye in the Naruto and Boruto universe to date. And yeah, I know Shiki Sasuke has his 8-wheel eye and Boruto has a Jugon, which with no question should eventually revealed to be stronger than the Rinnegan, but as of right now, we don't know because they haven't fully touched on it yet. So it is safe to say, as of right now, Sasuke holds the strongest eye in Boruto to date. Now, the Rinnegan isn't something that just anyone can use. If I'm not mistaken, the characters that can use it best are those who contain 6-path chakra. Uzumaki's do count as well, and an example would be Nagato, mainly because Nagato is an Uzumaki, so that makes him more durable than the rest. A great example that we saw with Obito or Toby is he stated that he couldn't handle the power of 2 Rinnegans because it was just too great for him. He simply did not have the durability or chakra to handle the power of the Rinnegans. And as for the basic abilities, which every Rinnegan user also contains within them, is the 6-path techniques: the Diva Path, Ashura Path, Human Path, Animal Path, Preta Path, and Naraka Path. When I actually dive deep into Naruto and Sasuke's specific 6-path abilities, I'll explain what each of them do then, but as of right now, I will say these are very overpowered abilities that if any ninja that isn't an Otsutsuki comes in contact with someone possessing a Rinnegan, they should just run away immediately and don't bother wasting their time. Well, not that that would matter. There is one more thing I'm forgetting to mention, and that is that Rinnegan users have a 7th path called the Outer Path, which gives them abilities like summoning the Ghetto statue, creating chakra receivers, which can be used to control 6 bodies of their choosing. A prime example is Obito with the Jinchurikis. Not only does this grant the user 6 handy helpers in battle, but each helper is able to share their vision with each other. So the chakra that goes into performing this ability is definitely worth it, especially depending who you control. The last ability of the Outer Path is the ability to perform the Rinne Rebirth, which basically allows the user to bring anyone of their choosing back from the dead at the cost of their own life. Okay, now that we are finally done explaining the general concept of 6-path, whether that be 6-path Sage Mode or the Rinnegan, we can now go into comparing the differences of Naruto and Sasuke. And normally, I'd start with Naruto, but for this video, I'm gonna go ahead and start with Sasuke. The first thing we can point out about Sasuke is that, of course, he has a Rinnegan, which allows him to perform the basic 6-path techniques. The Diva Path allows Sasuke to manipulate attractive and repulsive forces. An example of this is an exclusive anime scene where he pulls Naruto in with Universal Pull, then bursting a bunch of spiked flames out that pierces through all the clones. Or even with Pain, when he used Almighty Push to completely destroy the Hidden Leaf Village. I don't see why Sasuke would not be able to perform this technique, seeing as how adult Sasuke was stated to have full mastery over his Rinnegan abilities. Second is the Ashura Path, which allows the user to augment their body with mechanicized limbs, weaponry, and armor, as seen in the Kakashi vs Pain battle. Back then, I used to get confused on why Sasuke never used this ability when fighting, but I had to also take in this is a Rinnegan technique that requires a larger amount of chakra to perform, and Sasuke, being the badass he is, has clearly shown that he doesn't even need it in battle. So why waste his chakra on something so pointless? The Human Path is up next, and that gives Sasuke the ability to read a person's mind while also removing their soul. The reading part is pointless, as Sasuke has shown already to possess that ability with the Sharingan alone. The Animal Path, which allows the user to summon a wide variety of creatures. The Preta Path, which is capable of absorbing all forms of chakra, including most ninjutsus. Sasuke, during his fight with Naruto, wasn't able to receive chakra in one end and shoot out something crazy on the other because, well, he didn't have full mastery. As of now though, I don't doubt that Sasuke would be able to perform that task if he had another hand. The Naraka Path allows the user to call upon the King of Hell, which then grants them the ability to interrogate anyone, which could result in a fatal death, and the ability to completely restore anybody. Meaning, if Sasuke is ever heavily damaged, he could easily just summon the King of Hell and recover himself. Although, this is a Rinnegan technique, so it would take up some chakra. And that is all 6 basic abilities of the Rinnegan. But almost every Rinnegan user is not only granted those basic abilities, but each have their own unique ones. Sasuke in this case is granted the ability to instantaneously swap places with any object of his choosing at a specific distance. I've been getting the feeling that a lot of people don't think this ability is all that. Well, one, despite opening a portal to go and save Naruto from Momoshiki, which that already drained almost half his chakra, Sasuke was still able to use this ability twice while also using his Susanoo, Chidori, and whatnot. Then after the battle, still had enough to teleport everyone back the following morning. So this ability, to my surprise, does not take up that much chakra. And 2, this ability is instant. So imagine somebody throwing a super powerful projectile attack at Sasuke. If they're close enough, all Sasuke has to do is switch places last second and then boom, took out an enemy without having to really do much. This ability is the definition of hacks and easily one of the most OP ones in the Narutoverse to date. The second ability Sasuke is able to perform, which is only unique to him, Boruto, and the Otsutsuki, is the ability to open up portals. Although this ability does take up a lot of Sasuke's chakra, it's no no doubt that it is a handy backup option, and an example of this is when Sasuke fought Kinshiki, realized he was overmatched facing 2 Osutsukis and used his ability to flee, while in the end being able to complete his main objective. As I said before, Sasuke was also able to use the 6-path chakra given to him to buff up his current jutsus. One of them is buffing up his Chidori to an Onyx Chidori. Sasuke was also shown to be able to perform jutsus with his perfect Susanoo. He was shown to have the ability to use his Rinnegan teleportation technique, so it is definitely not a stretch to say he can use all 6 paths as well. A technique Sasuke was able to use that even the Sage of 6 Path was amazed by was the ability to put all 9-tailed beasts into a Genjutsu with a quick glance, seal them all into a Chibbaku Tensei, then use a chakra of each tailed beast to transform his Susanoo into the Jubi Perfect Susanoo. Now, other examples I'm also going to give are all Storm 4 exclusive, but I don't see why he wouldn't be able to perform these. Sasuke in Storm 4 was able to perform 3 amazing feats that all involve around a Chibbaku Tensei. Endo Shippuden Sasuke uses his Inferno style to trap his enemy, then further traps them into a Chibbaku Tensei coated with Amaterasu, summons his perfect Susanoo, uses Chidori, lights it up with Amaterasu, and completely destroys the Chibbaku Tensei that was already covered in Amaterasu. Sasuke the Last was able to trap his opponents with the Chibbaku Tensei by just looking at them, then proceeds to blow it up with a mere Chidori. And adult Sasuke was able to summon 9 Chibbaku Tenseis that were all coated with Amaterasu. And that's just with Chibbaku Tensei. Imagine having a deathmatch with Sasuke just for him to regain all his health back with the Naraka path. You're there awkwardly staring at each other, but in all reality, you're just a floating spirit, because he already trapped your dead decomposed corpse in a Chibbaku Tensei coated with Amaterasu, all while not moving a muscle. Sasuke is very versatile. He has so many ways to finish you off. If you're weak enough, he doesn't even have to use any 6-path techniques, as he was already versatile to begin with before 6 paths. Another feat, which is a Boruto exclusive, is Sasuke's ability to see through Momoshiki's giant paralysis, which basically looks like he stopped time itself. I know Sasuke said it didn't seem like a paralysis, but basing it off of the manga, it literally did look like a giant paralysis. Like he literally stopped time from moving temporarily. I don't know if he was able to move, as it was never stated. It could have been that he wanted to see the altercation take place and understand why Momoshiki was there to begin with, you know, after he just saw him die. But I don't want to overstretch it, so I'll just say Sasuke was able to see what was going on because of his Rinnegan, and it is unclear if he was able to move or not. And lastly, unlike Naruto, Sasuke is given the ability to counter infinite Tsukiyomi. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think this is a specific ability for Sasuke. I think all Rinnegan users are granted this ability because the Genjutsu casted is from a Rinnegan, so it would only make sense if only Rinnegan users could counter this technique. Another claim people are making is that he also needs to be covered or inside a Susanoo for it to work. He can't be out in broad daylight or he'll still fall under the illusion, and to be honest, this is a stretch. Sasuke only covered himself with the Susanoo to save Team 7 from the Genjutsu, and he and Black Setsu also stated that his Rinnegan is a counter to the infinite Tsukiyomi. I don't think Sasuke needs to be in the presence of a Susanoo to block out the illusion. And that pretty much covers Sasuke, so now we're going to lean over towards Naruto. First off with Naruto, he has an insane amount of chakra. He was able to fight a war for 3 days, stand his ground against Kaguya, then fight Sasuke while holding back to avoid killing him. So yeah, Naruto has a lot of chakra. Even Momoshiki and Ishiki acknowledged this, as Momoshiki was slowly getting irritated by how long it was taking to drain Naruto's chakra, and Ishiki stated that he wouldn't even waste his time trying to kill Naruto, as it would take too long. After his battle with Sasuke, Naruto received some pretty good buffs right after. He acquired back the other half of Kuruma and was given an arm that contained Hashirama cells, meaning his recovery and chakra reserves were greatly improved. Now this is something not everyone knows, but Hokage Naruto replaced his arm for a Ninja Tech arm, which basically grants him the Pray to Pass ability. Now since he did replace his Hashirama arm for this Ninja Tech arm at the time, he probably did lose the extra chakra and quicker recovery, but it was never implied that this was a permanent switch. I think he only switched this against Boruto, and then decided to never use it again for some reason. Like I said earlier, Naruto was also able to touch the black receivers as anyone containing 6-path chakra can. I've already talked about his Sage chakra buffs that apply to 6-paths, so I don't really need to bring it up again, but yeah, everything I talked about way before is another insane ability for Naruto that he possesses. Users of 6-path Sage mode are also granted the ability to fly, as seen by Naruto, Madara, and Obito. In his final fight with Sasuke, which is a crazy feat, Kuruma required enough nature energy that allowed Naruto to combine 3 of his Kuruma avatars to summon the 3-headed Ashura Kuruma avatar. In this transformation, stated by Storm 4, Naruto was able to perform what is called the 6-path Massive Rasen Shuriken, which is strong enough to tie Sasuke's injured arrow, backed up with the power of each tailed beast and his own. The fact that Naruto was able to counter this despite only containing a little of each tailed beast does wonders to his power and chakra reserves. Speaking of the tailed beast, Naruto, after receiving 6th path chakra, was able to use the tailed beast chakra stored within him to enhance his current jutsus. An example is the super tailed beast Rasen Shuriken, where 9 Rasen Shurikens are summoned, each enhanced by a tailed beast. Now, I don't think this specifically is a 6th path technique, but it wasn't shown until Boruto. That's Naruto's ability to create chakra arms out of his KCM cloak that can each contain a massive Rasengan, which is crazy. He doesn't even need to move and he can throw like 6 massive Rasengans at you. Naruto's also able to perform 5,000 shadow clones that are stated to each be as strong as him. So my god, if he used this against a fight with Sasuke, I don't see how Sasuke would have handled that unless he fully mastered his Rinnegan, but even then, I still don't see it. The last crazy ability that Naruto can perform after receiving 6 paths, well, is another feat given to him by a tailed beast, specifically the 5 tails, and that's the ability to use boil release, which emits steam from his entire body, which greatly improves his physical capabilities. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all the 6 path buffs and differences between Naruto and Sasuke. Another way I like to look at their differences is Naruto receiving a raw power buff while Sasuke received a bunch of hacks. There are a lot of enemies they could take down themselves, but there are many times where Sasuke just doesn't have enough raw power to handle somebody, as where Naruto does, and there will be times where there will be an enemy that overpowers Naruto's raw power and physical feats so much that the only way to stand against somebody like this is with hacks. A prime example is Ishiki. In the current battle right now, the only two that have a chance to do anything in this fight is Boruto and Sasuke, and even then they stand no chance. But that is maybe for another video. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'd very much appreciate a like and sub, and please let me know if you enjoyed this kind of content, as it'll motivate me to make more. I think the Naruto community has had enough Naruto versus Sasuke battles. Let me know which 6th path buff you think is better between Naruto and Sasuke. I'm very interested. If you have any suggestions on what you'd like me to do next, feel free to let me know in the comments below. This has been your boy Chosen, and I'll catch you on the next one.